Men are moved by two levers only: fear and self-interest. Napoleon Bonaparte, they tell you influence is about charisma, about being naturally likable, possessing some innate charm that draws people in. That's a comfortable lie. It keeps you passive, believing you either have it or you don't. The truth is, influence is a skill, a science even. It's about understanding the subtle levers that control human behavior, the invisible currents that dictate where a conversation, a negotiation, a relationship will flow. We're not talking about manipulation in the cartoonish sense of evil villains twirling mustaches. We're talking about understanding the real game being played, the one where everyone is trying to steer things in their direction, consciously or not. It's about recognizing the unspoken needs, the hidden anxieties, and the barely perceptible power dynamics that shape every interaction. Influence isn't some mystical aura, it's a calculated application of psychological principles. Think of it like this: every person is a complex machine, programmed with certain hardwired responses. Learn the code and you can predict, even direct their actions. This isn't about trickery, it's about understanding. It's about seeing the world as it is, not as you wish it were. It's about recognizing that beneath the surface of every polite conversation, every friendly exchange, there's a subtle dance for dominance, a jockeying for position. And if you're not aware of the dance, you're just a pawn being moved across the board. So, forget the fairy tales about charisma. We're here to dissect the cold, hard reality of how influence works. We're here to give you the tools to not just survive, but thrive in the social battlefield. We're here to show you the anatomy of influence, piece by piece, so you can finally take control. Most people stumble through life reacting to the moves of others, never understanding why they feel compelled to say yes, to agree, to follow. They are puppets dancing on strings they can't see, controlled by forces they don't understand. We aim to change that. We're not interested in teaching you how to be a nice person or how to win friends with empty platitudes. We're interested in results. We're interested in equipping you with the knowledge to navigate the complex world of human interaction with confidence and precision. The world won't hand you power. You have to take it. And the first step is understanding the real rules of the game. Are you ready to see the truth? Are you ready to learn how the world really works? Because once you see it, you can never unsee it. And that's when the real game begins. We're not selling fantasies of instant success or guaranteed results. This isn't about magic tricks. It's about consistent, deliberate application of proven strategies. It's about understanding the psychology of persuasion, the dynamics of power, and the art of framing reality. It's about recognizing that every interaction is an opportunity, every conversation a negotiation, every relationship a carefully constructed alliance. Forget the gurus who preach empty positivity and vague affirmations. We deal in facts, in observations, in actionable strategies. We'll show you how to dissect a conversation, identify the underlying power dynamics, and steer the interaction towards your desired outcome. This isn't about being manipulative for the sake of it. It's about protecting yourself from being manipulated by others. It's about ensuring that your voice is heard, your needs are met, and your goals are achieved. The comfortable lie is that if you're good and honest, things will work out. The truth is, the world is full of people who are neither good nor honest, and they're actively shaping reality to their advantage. If you remain passive, you become a victim. We're not advocating for a life of ruthless ambition or cutthroat competition. We're simply advocating for awareness, for understanding, for the ability to see the game being played and to choose your moves accordingly. This is about empowering yourself, about taking control of your life, your relationships, your destiny. So, are you ready to step out of the shadows and into the light? Are you ready to learn the anatomy of influence and become a master of the game? The study of influence begins with understanding the human mind. Forget simplistic notions of logic and reason. Human beings are driven by emotion, by subconscious biases, by deeply ingrained psychological needs. To influence someone, you must understand these underlying forces and learn to work with them, not against them. Consider the concept of cognitive dissonance. People strive for internal consistency. When confronted with information that contradicts their existing beliefs, they experience discomfort. They will then actively seek to reduce this discomfort, often by rationalizing the conflicting information away or even rejecting it outright. This is why simply presenting someone with facts and logic rarely changes their mind. You must instead create an environment where they feel safe to question their own beliefs, where they can arrive at a new understanding on their own terms. You must guide them, not force them. Another critical aspect of influence is understanding the power of framing. How you present information has a profound impact on how it is received. Take the classic example of a glass half empty versus a glass half full. Both describe the same reality, but one evokes negativity, the other positivity. The same principle applies to more complex situations. By carefully choosing your words, by highlighting certain aspects of a situation while downplaying others, you can subtly shape someone's perception of reality. This is not about lying or distorting the truth. It's about focusing on the aspects that are most relevant to your objective and presenting them in a way that resonates with your audience. Furthermore, the principles of social proof are essential to master. People are social creatures. We look to others for cues on how to behave, what to believe, and what to value. If you can demonstrate that others are already doing what you're advocating for, you significantly increase the likelihood that your target will follow suit. This can be achieved through testimonials, through statistics, or simply by subtly indicating that your desired behavior is becoming the norm. The key is to create the impression that your target is not alone, that they are joining a movement, that they are making a safe and socially acceptable choice. Observe how politicians use this technique constantly, citing polls and endorsements to create the impression of widespread support. Scarcity is another powerful motivator. People are more likely to want something if they believe it is in limited supply. This is why limited-time offers and exclusive access are so effective. By creating a sense of urgency, by implying that the opportunity will soon disappear, you can bypass rational analysis and trigger an emotional response. This principle is often exploited in sales and marketing, but it can also be applied in personal relationships and negotiations. For instance, framing your time or resources as limited can increase their perceived value. The art lies in creating a sense of scarcity without resorting to deception or manipulation. Reciprocity also plays a crucial role. People feel obligated to return favors. If you do something nice for someone, they are more likely to reciprocate. This is a fundamental principle of human interaction, and it can be leveraged to build rapport and influence others. However, it's important to be genuine in your generosity. If your motives are transparently self-serving, the effect will be diminished or even counterproductive. The most effective approach is to offer assistance without expecting anything in return, to build trust and establish a positive relationship. The return will come naturally, in its own time. Authority is another key element of influence. People are more likely to comply with the requests of someone they perceive as an authority figure. This authority can be based on expertise, on social status, or simply on perceived competence. The key is to project confidence and credibility. Dress the part, speak with conviction, and demonstrate your knowledge of the subject matter. Even subtle cues, such as maintaining eye contact and using a firm tone of voice, can enhance your perceived authority. Be mindful, however, that true authority is earned, not demanded. Respect and integrity are crucial for long-term influence. Finally, emotional intelligence is paramount. Understanding your own emotions and the emotions of others is essential for effective communication and persuasion. Learn to read body language, to detect subtle cues of discomfort or resistance, and to adapt your approach accordingly. Empathy is not just a virtue, it's a strategic advantage. By understanding your target's perspective, you can tailor your message to resonate with their needs and desires. Cultivate your emotional intelligence, and you will become a master of influence. Consider the story of a junior analyst, Sarah, at a high-stakes investment firm. She possessed exceptional analytical skills and a keen eye for detail, but her ideas were consistently overlooked in favor of those presented by her more assertive, senior colleagues. Sarah found herself relegated to the role of data cruncher, despite having innovative strategies that could significantly benefit the firm. One day, a major investment opportunity arose, and Sarah recognized a critical flaw in the prevailing analysis, a flaw that could cost the firm millions. She knew she had to speak up, but her previous attempts to voice her opinions had been met with dismissive nods and subtle condescension. The senior partners, entrenched in their established ways, rarely entertained dissenting viewpoints from junior staff. Sarah understood that simply presenting her findings wouldn't be enough. She needed to strategically navigate the firm's complex power dynamics to influence the decision-making process. She began by identifying the key influencers within the firm, the individuals whose opinions carried the most weight. She focused on John, a seasoned partner known for his sharp intellect and his willingness to listen to well-reasoned arguments. However, John was also notoriously skeptical and resistant to change. Sarah knew she couldn't directly challenge the existing analysis without alienating him. Instead, she decided to employ a subtle approach, leveraging the principles of scarcity and social proof. She casually mentioned her concerns to a respected senior analyst in a different department, someone known for their independent thinking and their ability to identify hidden risks. She framed her concerns as a question, seeking their opinion on a potential anomaly in the data. This analyst, intrigued by Sarah's observation, began to independently investigate the issue. As the analyst delved deeper, they realized the validity of Sarah's concerns and brought them to the attention of John. Now, John was presented with the same information, but it came from a source he already respected and trusted. This subtle shift in the messenger significantly enhanced the credibility of the message. Furthermore, Sarah had created a sense of scarcity by not directly presenting her findings to John. The fact that another analyst had independently discovered the issue made it seem more valuable and urgent. John, now recognizing the potential risk, called a meeting to reevaluate the investment strategy. During the meeting, Sarah carefully presented her analysis, focusing on the data and avoiding any direct criticism of the previous approach. She used visual aids to clearly illustrate the potential flaw and its financial implications. She spoke with confidence and conviction, but also with humility and respect for the senior partner's experience. She acknowledged their expertise while subtly highlighting the importance of considering alternative perspectives. As she presented her case, she noticed John nodding in agreement. He began to ask probing questions, further demonstrating his growing conviction in her analysis. By the end of the meeting, the senior partners had revised their investment strategy based on Sarah's findings. The firm avoided a potentially disastrous investment, and Sarah earned the respect and recognition she deserved. This example illustrates the anatomy of influence in a high-stakes environment. Sarah didn't rely on direct confrontation or forceful persuasion. Instead, she carefully analyzed the social dynamics, identified the key influencers, and strategically employed principles of scarcity, social proof, and authority to subtly guide the decision-making process. She understood that influence is not about overpowering others. It's about understanding their motivations, building trust, and presenting your ideas in a way that resonates with their needs and values. It's a delicate dance of strategy, psychology, and emotional intelligence. The ability to navigate these complex social landscapes is essential for anyone seeking to achieve their goals and make a meaningful impact in their chosen field. This is about understanding the chess match that is every conversation. The anatomy of influence also reveals the pitfalls that ensnare the unwary, the traps that lie in wait for those who fail to grasp the underlying dynamics of social interaction. One of the most common traps is the assumption that logic and reason alone will carry the day. Many believe that presenting a well-structured argument, backed by irrefutable evidence, is sufficient to sway opinions and achieve desired outcomes. However, human beings are not purely rational creatures. Emotions, biases, and pre-existing beliefs often play a far more significant role in decision-making than logic. To ignore these factors is to walk blindly into a minefield. Another trap is the pursuit of direct confrontation. When faced with opposition, some individuals instinctively resort to aggressive tactics, attempting to overpower their adversaries through force of will or verbal dominance. While such tactics may occasionally yield short-term gains, they often backfire in the long run, damaging relationships, creating resentment, and solidifying resistance. Influence is rarely achieved through brute force. It requires finesse, subtlety, and a deep understanding of human psychology. The inability to read social cues is a crippling disadvantage. Those who are oblivious to the subtle signals of body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions are effectively blindfolded in the social arena. They miss critical information about the emotional state and intentions of others, making it difficult to adapt their approach and build rapport. Effective influence requires constant observation, careful interpretation, and the ability to adjust one's behavior accordingly. The fear of rejection is another significant obstacle. Many individuals are hesitant to assert their opinions or challenge the status quo for fear of being ostracized or criticized. This fear can lead to self-censorship and a reluctance to take risks, ultimately limiting their ability to influence others. Overcoming this fear requires a shift in mindset, recognizing that disagreement is not necessarily a sign of rejection and that constructive criticism can be a valuable source of growth. The failure to build rapport is a common pitfall. People are more likely to be influenced by those they trust and respect. Building rapport requires genuine empathy, active listening, and a willingness to connect with others on a personal level. Those who are perceived as aloof, arrogant, or insincere will struggle to gain the trust and confidence of others, hindering their ability to influence them. A lack of self-awareness can also undermine influence. Individuals who are unaware of their own biases, weaknesses, and blind spots are prone to making poor decisions and alienating others. Self-awareness requires honest introspection, a willingness to seek feedback, and a commitment to continuous self-improvement. Finally, the pursuit of short-term gains at the expense of long-term relationships is a self-defeating strategy. Influence is not a one-time transaction. It's an ongoing process that requires building trust, nurturing relationships, and demonstrating a genuine commitment to the well-being of others. Those who prioritize short-term gains over long-term relationships will ultimately find themselves isolated and powerless. Avoiding these traps requires a conscious effort to develop one's social intelligence, emotional intelligence, and strategic thinking skills. It requires a willingness to learn from one's mistakes, adapt to changing circumstances, and continuously refine one's approach. The art of influence is not about manipulating others for personal gain. It's about understanding human nature, building trust, and creating mutually beneficial outcomes. It's about playing the game of social dynamics with awareness and intention, always striving to elevate the conversation and create a more positive and productive environment. Those who master this art will find themselves not only more influential, but also more effective leaders, collaborators, and communicators. They will be able to navigate complex social landscapes with confidence and grace, achieving their goals while building strong, lasting relationships. This is the essence of true influence, the ability to inspire, motivate, and empower others to achieve their full potential. It's a skill that can be learned, honed, and perfected through dedication, practice, and a deep understanding of the human condition. The Machiavellian approach to influence, often misunderstood as pure manipulation, is in reality a calculated strategy rooted in understanding human behavior and power dynamics. It's about observing the game, recognizing the players, and positioning yourself for optimal advantage. This isn't about crude deception, but rather about a cold, clear-eyed assessment of reality, stripped of sentimentality. Think of it as playing chess, not checkers. Each move is carefully considered, not just for its immediate impact, but for its long-term consequences on the board. The Machiavellian influencer understands that people are driven by self-interest, whether they admit it or not. This doesn't make them inherently bad, it simply makes them human. Effective influence, therefore, requires understanding these motivations and aligning your goals with theirs. It's about framing your proposals in a way that resonates with their desires, their fears, and their aspirations. This is where the art of persuasion comes in. It's not about twisting arms or making empty promises, but about presenting a compelling case that demonstrates how your goals can help them achieve their own. The Machiavellian strategist is a master of framing. They understand that the way a message is presented can be just as important as the message itself. They are skilled at crafting narratives that appeal to the emotions, the logic, and the values of their target audience. This involves understanding the nuances of language, body language, and social cues. It requires the ability to read people, to anticipate their reactions, and to adapt your approach accordingly. The Machiavellian approach also recognizes the importance of power, not necessarily brute force, but rather the subtle forms of power that shape social interactions. This includes knowledge, expertise, social connections, and the ability to control information. Effective influencers understand how to leverage these sources of power to their advantage. They cultivate relationships with key individuals, they acquire knowledge that others lack, and they control the flow of information to shape the narrative. However, the Machiavellian approach is not without its risks. It can be easily misinterpreted as manipulative and self-serving, which can damage trust and credibility. Therefore, it's crucial to use this approach with caution and with a clear understanding of the ethical implications. The goal is not to exploit or deceive others, but to create mutually beneficial outcomes that advance your interests while also serving the greater good. This requires a delicate balance between self-interest and altruism, between calculation and compassion. The truly effective Machiavellian influencer is not a puppet master, but a strategic leader who inspires and motivates others to achieve their full potential. They understand that true power comes not from domination, but from collaboration. They build strong relationships based on trust and mutual respect, and they empower others to take ownership of their goals. This is the essence of the Machiavellian approach, a calculated strategy for achieving influence that is both effective and ethical. It's about understanding human nature, leveraging power, and framing your message in a way that resonates with your audience. It's about playing the game of social dynamics with awareness, intention, and a commitment to creating mutually beneficial outcomes. It demands a constant awareness of the social landscape, the shifting alliances, and the hidden agendas. The successful practitioner is always observing, always analyzing, always adapting. They are students of human behavior, constantly refining their understanding of what motivates people, what scares them, and what inspires them. This understanding is then translated into carefully crafted strategies, designed to navigate the complexities of social interaction and achieve desired outcomes. The Machiavellian approach is not a rigid set of rules, but a flexible framework that can be adapted to a wide range of situations. It requires creativity, innovation, and a willingness to experiment. The successful practitioner is not afraid to challenge conventional wisdom, to question assumptions, and to think outside the box. They are constantly seeking new ways to improve their effectiveness and to achieve their goals. The key is to remain adaptable and to always be one step ahead of the game. The Machiavellian influencer recognizes that perception is reality. What people believe to be true is often more important than what is actually true. Therefore, they are skilled at managing perceptions, shaping narratives, and controlling the flow of information. They understand that first impressions matter, and they are careful to cultivate a positive image. They are also adept at anticipating and countering negative perceptions, diffusing rumors, and managing crises. Effective management of perception is crucial for maintaining influence and achieving long-term goals. It allows the Machiavellian influencer to control the narrative, to shape public opinion, and to maintain a positive reputation. However, it is important to remember that honesty and transparency are also crucial for building trust and maintaining credibility. The Machiavellian approach should not be used as a license to deceive or manipulate others. Rather, it should be used as a tool for understanding human behavior and for creating mutually beneficial outcomes. The Machiavellian influencer understands the importance of patience. They know that true influence takes time to develop and that quick fixes are rarely sustainable. They are willing to invest the time and effort necessary to build strong relationships, to cultivate trust, and to achieve their long-term goals. They are not easily discouraged by setbacks, and they are always learning from their mistakes. Patience is a virtue that is essential for success in any endeavor, and it is particularly important in the realm of influence. The Machiavellian influencer also understands the importance of adaptability. The social landscape is constantly changing, and they must be able to adapt their strategies to changing circumstances. They are constantly learning new skills, acquiring new knowledge, and refining their approach. They are not afraid to experiment, to take risks, and to challenge conventional wisdom. Adaptability is essential for survival in a competitive environment, and it is particularly important in the realm of influence. The Machiavellian influencer understands the power of silence. They know that sometimes the best thing to do is to say nothing at all. They are skilled at listening, observing, and gathering information. They are not afraid to let others talk, and they are patient enough to wait for the right moment to speak. Silence can be a powerful tool for influencing others, as it allows you to gather information, to assess the situation, and to plan your next move. The Machiavellian influencer understands the importance of discretion. They know that not everything needs to be said, and that some things are best left unsaid. They are careful to keep their own counsel, and they do not gossip or spread rumors. Discretion is essential for maintaining trust and credibility, and it is particularly important in the realm of influence. The Machiavellian influencer understands the value of alliances. They know that they cannot achieve their goals alone, and that they need to build strong relationships with others. They are skilled at identifying potential allies, cultivating relationships, and forming coalitions. Alliances can provide access to resources, knowledge, and influence that would otherwise be unavailable. The Machiavellian influencer understands the importance of timing. They know that the right move at the wrong time can be just as ineffective as the wrong move at the right time. They are skilled at reading the situation, anticipating events, and timing their actions to maximize their impact. Timing is crucial for success in any endeavor, and it is particularly important in the realm of influence. The Machiavellian approach demands a constant self-assessment. Are your methods yielding the desired results? Are you alienating potential allies with your tactics? Are you sacrificing long-term trust for short-term gains? The answer to these questions dictates your next move. It's about staying flexible, staying informed, and always adjusting your strategy to the ever-changing dynamics of the social game. The Machiavellian influencer understands that influence is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. They are committed to continuous learning and improvement, always seeking out new knowledge and skills to enhance their ability to influence others. They understand that the world is constantly changing, and that they must adapt to stay ahead of the curve. This requires a willingness to experiment, to take risks, and to learn from their mistakes. The capacity to learn and adapt is what separates the masters of influence from the amateurs. It is the ability to analyze past successes and failures, to identify patterns and trends, and to adjust one's strategies accordingly. True influence isn't about brute force or manipulation. It's about subtly shaping perceptions, controlling the narrative, and guiding others toward a desired outcome. It's about understanding their motivations, their fears, and their desires, and using that knowledge to your advantage. It is about being the chess master of human interaction. The Machiavellian influencer understands that influence is not about control, but about guidance. They do not seek to dominate or coerce others, but rather to persuade and inspire them. They understand that true influence comes from within and that it cannot be imposed from without. They are skilled at creating an environment in which others are receptive to their ideas and in which they are motivated to act in accordance with their wishes. This requires a deep understanding of human psychology and an ability to connect with others on an emotional level. The Machiavellian influencer understands the importance of patience. They know that lasting influence takes time to cultivate and that it cannot be rushed. They are willing to wait for the right opportunity to nurture relationships and to build trust. They understand that the long game is the only game worth playing. The pursuit of influence is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires a commitment to consistent effort, a willingness to overcome obstacles, and a belief in the ultimate goal. The Machiavellian influencer never stops refining their craft, always striving to become more effective and more persuasive. Their goal is not simply to win individual battles, but to shape the entire landscape of human interaction. They are the architects of reality, the manipulators of perception, the masters of the social game. Their power lies not in physical strength or material wealth, but in their understanding of human nature and their ability to leverage it to their advantage. They see the world as a chessboard, and they are always several moves ahead. Remember, every interaction is an opportunity. Every word, every gesture, every silence can be a tool of influence. You must learn to see the hidden dynamics at play, the subtle power struggles that unfold beneath the surface of everyday conversation. Only then can you begin to master